the Charlestown Chiefs. Brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Are you a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener? Of course you are. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call real estate superstar Mike Burgoyne today at 314-753-4060 or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com to earn special rates today.
Cut out the coffee, cut out those energy drinks that make you crash, and put yourself in a position to succeed with an energy boost from RockinThatIDLife.com. You'll be energized, focused, and you'll even experience an elevated mood for up to 6 hours. Check out RockinThatIDLife.com to learn more.
A team that was in last place on January 3rd. The players on the bench are bouncing up. History will be made tonight in Boston.
You're watching Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast with your hosts Kurt Price, Bill Day, and what appears to be a Peter Dinklage cosplay. So just sit back, grab a beer, and enjoy the best blues hockey talk on YouTube.
I don't think I fixed the...
There we go. Now
there was a hell of a lot of background noise there.
Welcome to episode 29 of season 14. This is episode number 510. All time of never duplicated. I ask Joe Boot to come. Take fear from bats. I offer him cigar, rum. He will come. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio, broadcasting live. This is our 2025 playoff preview show. That is right. The St. Louis Blues are in the playoffs. To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I'm Kurt Price. I'm a co-host for the big show tonight is Bill Day. Jeff Ponder is facing some very serious allegations that we cannot go into.
On a plane.
On a plane, right.
Yeah.
So,
would you rather be facing snakes on a plane or allegations on a plane?
He's facing some monkey fighting allegations on his Monday to Friday plane. And for those of you who get that, kudos to you. The agenda for tonight
over my head. So.
That's the edited version for TV.
Oh, gotcha.
Get these monkey fighting snakes off this Monday to Friday plane. Samuel L. Jackson, that was his line, and you can imagine what he said in the movie. You haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
The agenda for tonight's show includes discussion about the Blues actually getting into the playoffs with a huge flurry down the stretch and a big win over Utah to solidify their spot. And then we'll look at the playoff matchup versus Winnipeg and dig into that and give our thoughts on that. All that and more on the latest live episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Bill, welcome. Playoff hockey has returned. Well, come Saturday. It has
come
returned.
Saturday.
Saturday.
That's an amazing feeling, right? It's hasn't been since Nazem Kadri knocked out Jordan Binnington, and we had to go with Billy Husso.
Yeah.
That we've talked playoff hockey around these parts.
No doubt. Those were nervous times. Such a crazy season with Husso playing out of his mind, taking the job from Binnington not playing well that year, and then Husso kind of stumbling down the stretch a little bit, and then didn't play well in the first round. Binnington took over and was lights out, and then was lights out against Colorado until Kadri dove on his knee. Fuck you, Avalanche fans. He dove on his knee. We all know.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that Calgary is out, Nazem Kadri scored a goal here tonight, so fuck him again.
He can score as many as he wants tonight.
That's right.
Hit don't matter. Official beers of episode number 510. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is cprice12. Jeff's is jponder94, and Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. I see in the notes here that you don't have a beer, Bill. Is that old notes?
Oh, that's old notes.
Okay. All right. I blame Jeff.
Yes.
Take that out. There we go.
Yes.
Anything that goes wrong tonight is Jeff's fault. He ain't here.
That's right. These are part of the allegations he's facing.
Right. Leaving old notes in the show notes. I am guilty of that big time. I don't take out old notes all the time, and I end up reading old stuff. It's funny.
Yeah. What about Binnington?
What about Binnington?
That's somewhere in here still, I think.
I probably, yeah. What you got tonight, Bill?
So tonight I am going with the Laws Whiskey House barrel-aged Yeti Imperial Stout from Great Divide out of Denver, Colorado. I can do this now because we're not playing them, and I think like an airport, Winnipeg doesn't have a microbrewery. So
they don't have anything.
Yeah,
they got snow and ice.
Yeah, I can't drink the beer of the enemy. No, I'm sure there's probably a very good microbrewery or two up that way, but probably can't get it here now. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
But really nice, heavy, barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Love this. I've had a bunch of regular Yeti on the show this year. I even had a couple weeks ago. I think I did the massive pumpkin spice one that I'd left over from the fall. Really good. Love Yeti. Great Divide's got some great offerings. And I was lucky enough to drink there in the airport before coming back to St. Louis back in October. So really good.
Have you ever had this Bud Light Platinum?
I have not.
It's 6%, so kind of up there for a light beer. But yeah, I like it. It's if you're gonna drink light beer and you prefer to have a slightly higher ABV on a beer, Bud Light Platinum. It's pretty good. I mean, as far as light beers go, I mean, I like it a little better than Bud Light, but Jeff Ponder says he is literally on a plane taking off in Dallas. Have a good show, boys. Have a good flight, Jeff. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So just to compare, mine's 12.5. So I'm almost double you.
I'll have two of these.
Yeah. I won't have two of these.
Joe Schmo says, what? Winnipeg has a Dollar Tree at street level next to their barn. What else do you want? Is that true? They have a Dollar Tree right next door. Well, with no airport, you gotta have a Dollar Tree. If you don't have an airport, you gotta have a Dollar Tree. I love the no airport stuff.
Yes.
How do you have an NHL team and not have an airport? I mean, really? Come on.
They're gonna hate us by the end of the series.
Oh, you know what? I don't care. That's fine. They probably hate us from 2019.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Or any other team that's knocked them out early the past couple of years, few years, ever.
So every team in the Central?
Pretty much, yeah. Frozen 4 recap.
Yeah.
Bill, you attended the Frozen 4. You want to tell folks a little bit about that?
I will take that. I contributed this to the outline, so I'm glad to take this.
There you go.
So yeah, I was lucky enough to pick up tickets way back on Halloween for this one, not knowing who was going to be there. And it turned out that I actually had a family interest in this game because Penn State made it, and I've got a lot of folks in my family who work or worked or went to Penn State. So we had a strong rooting interest. I was able to take my brother-in-law, who is a current employee of Penn State, although he lives right here in Illinois. So that was pretty awesome to get that opportunity to take him for Penn State's first Frozen 4 appearance. And it was really a great experience. let me quiz you on this. Who was the collegiate sponsor of the St. Louis 2025 Frozen Four? Because
Who is it? Who is what?
so every Frozen Four has to be sponsored by a university.
Okay.
Who was the sponsor this year?
I don't. Local?
No.
Okay.
That's the thing. Lindenwood, when they awarded it, like 7 years ago or whatever it was, Lindenwood wasn't D1 yet. So
okay.
it was University of Vermont.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay.
Yeah, nope, nobody would have. But yeah. so anyway, so Frozen Four last Thursday and Saturday. The opener was an insane game. Western Michigan versus Denver. Denver, the reigning national champs, probably had the well, he didn't win the Hobie Baker, but probably the best player in collegiate hockey in Zeev Buyum. And Western Michigan, first time that they had made it to the Frozen Four, and were probably the least respected out of the entire group. And they kind of took it to Denver early. Probably should have been up a couple goals by the end of the first. They had a crossbar early on, but they dominated most of the game. Denver did tie it in the third and sent it to 2 overtimes. It was a very, very long afternoon of hockey. Owen Michaels gets he got one of the regulation goals for Western Michigan, and 26 seconds into double overtime, on kind of a Zeev Buyum giveaway, he gets the game winner and sent the arena into hysteria. We were where we were sitting, we were amongst Western Michigan fans, so we were kind of pulling for them anyway.
Okay.
I was in a merch line when this goal was scored, so it was.
Was it a situation where you went there in between periods and we were still in line?
Yeah, the merch lines were insane. Like it had some great stuff. I mean, look at this beautiful thing, right? It was pretty awesome. A lot of good representation for all teams. Denver, it's not that bad of a drive. Western Michigan, it's not that bad of a drive. Boston, everybody's got money, so they can fly here. So that's in Penn State. I was actually surprised at the number of Penn State jerseys that we saw there. Great first game. Western Michigan surprised, I think, a lot of people, but they were dominant both games. They were definitely the better team. I mentioned Owen Michaels, their goalie, freshman goalie, winning the NCAA. That's always a great thing to see. Hampton Slakinski out of War Road, Minnesota, home of TJ Oshie.
Mm-hmm.
Tie that back to the last time we had the Frozen Four here. TJ Oshie and Jonathan Taves on the North Dakota team that got knocked out in the first game, but whatever. So second game, like I said, it was a long day of hockey. First game started at 4:00. Second game, I think, was close to 9:00 before it got underway. And that was Boston University versus Penn State. Boston is such a pedigreed team. Like, go through their roster, and it's like half of it has a relation in the NHL or employed by an NHL team. It's crazy, right? You have to have a blood test to play for this team. They're that deep. Really good roster. And Penn State, they're an up and coming program. First time they've made it. And they made it pretty close. But at the end of the day, Boston held on for a 3-1. They got a late empty net goal to knock out Penn State. And so we were a little bit sad, but that turned our allegiance in the final game to Western Michigan. And interesting kind of comparison to 2007, the last time we hosted. The final game was Michigan State versus Boston College. So both championship games in St. Louis played between Michigan and Boston schools. And in this case, in both games, Michigan won. So Western Michigan came out and they were so dominant in this game. I really thought that Boston was just going to outclass them, and Western Michigan worked from the get-go. They were all over Boston. The BU goalie didn't have a great game. And there's another interesting thing I thought in this tournament. That 2 of the 4 goalies were Russian. Right, all of the good goalies in the world now are coming out of Russia. So Boston University and Penn State both had Russian goalies who are both big. They both kind of remind you of Vasilevsky, but neither had it. Yeah, neither had a great tournament. Boston University. Getting to see them play was pretty interesting. I got to see them a lot when I was going to school up Providence way, and grew to hate them just because they were so good back then. But they had the likes of Chris Drury and Mike Greer and several other guys that made the NHL, and we had Hal Gill. So, but this team had 2 Hudson brothers, Lane. Of course, is Cole Hudson and Lane Hudson. Lane is Lane's a Montreal guy. My brain's fried this week, so gonna win Rookie of the Year in the NHL. Gonna win the Calder. Played at Boston University. All 3 brothers played at Boston University, coming out of Chicago, and they look great. But Western Michigan was, like I said, so dominant in this game. And yeah, they just kind of overpowered BU. And it was really kind of a home game for Western Michigan. I think once they got to the final, everybody from Kalamazoo drove to St. Louis because there were so many Broncos fans in attendance. Again, we sat where we were sitting was very close to their band. And it was pretty raucous, pretty awesome to see. Super happy for them. Yeah, Boston doesn't win in St. Louis. Just remember that.
It's just they can't get it done.
Nope. I think it goes back to the fact that when the Red Sox beat the Cardinals in 2004, they filmed a movie. Right, they filmed a movie.
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect.
No, Pitch Perfect. It wasn't Pitch Perfect. It was the other one. It was like that one. It was
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. What was it called?
Fever Pitch.
Fever Pitch. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Fever Pitch. That's what you get for filming a movie on our damn stadium field, right? You don't do that. You never win here again. Yeah.
It's like the goat in Chicago, Cubs. Yeah. Wrigley.
Right. It's the new curse of the Bambino, right?
It's the curse of a fever pitch.
Yeah. Yes. That is the new Boston curse. Don't come through St. Louis, Boston.
No.
So anyway, yeah, super awesome. Great. Super happy that we got to see it. If Lindenwood couldn't keep its program D1, hopefully we'll get it a little sooner than 18 years. But it was pretty awesome. I will say my last thought on this, Zeev Bouillon is the real deal, and I'm a little bit afraid. There's talk he's going to quarterback Minnesota's power play, having not taken one regular season shift with them. So look out, Vegas.
Well, Minnesota needs all the help they can get. They bumbling and stumbling down the stretch.
Yeah. But they were also without Kaprizov for a lot of it. So
that's true. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get into the Blues and the playoff push and the looking ahead to Winnipeg on Saturday. On the other side of this break, you are listening to Kurt and Bill on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
As a hockey player, Mike Burgoyne knows a thing or two about making the perfect play. And when it comes to real estate, he's always ready to score the winning goal for his clients. If you're a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues Radio listener looking to score the home of your dreams, you'll receive special rates with Mike. Go ahead, Shoot some questions his way, and he'll have the answer quicker than Curtis Joseph on a breakaway.
Curtis Joseph got the pedal down.
Any barriers? Mike will mow them down like Chris Pronger in front of the net. He'll score you your dream home or sell your existing home faster than a Brett Hall one-timer.
Flip past the Hall. He shoots. He scores.
See Burgoyne's real estate prowess in action today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or by calling 314-753-4060. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com, and that phone number is 314-753-4060. Getting Mike Burgoyne on your team will be the boost your power play needs.
The battle for the top spot in the league is on the line. Many warriors have entered the concrete jungle, but when the smoke clears, only one will remain. They all want it, but only one shall have it. Hide your children. Lock your doors. Those with weak stomachs should almost certainly look away. This is Big Boy Pickleball. You have been warned.
Already know that you love hockey, and you obviously already love the Let's Go Blues Radio podcast, but what about filling the gap between weekly Let's Go Blues Radio episodes? That's where the LGB Minute comes in. Hosted by Jeff Ponder, the LGB Minute is an entertaining, down and dirty, 5-minute St. Louis Blues podcast released multiple times a week to keep you informed of all things St. Louis Blues. So make sure to subscribe to the LGB Minute anywhere you listen to podcasts, like right now. Do it now. Just click subscribe. It's easy. Please. Now.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
You know, Calgary is playing LA right now, and whenever I see Calgary and LA play, it always reminds me of back in the day. I guess it was the early 90s, and I forget which year, but when they had a little brouhaha and they lifted the glass up from between the benches.
Oh yeah,
kind of got after each other. Yeah,
no,
that was good stuff. I was watching that game on satellite over at old Jeff's house.
Yeah,
Yep.
the old Smythe division.
Yep.
Anything goes. Late night hockey on the satellite.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some fun stuff.
That was good stuff. That was, man, back in the day. I don't know. People don't appreciate today, I don't think, but you couldn't watch games like any when they had those big, huge 10, 12-foot satellites, however big they were. You know, that's when you could get all kinds of stuff, and you got Canadian games, you got Hockey Night in Canada, you get all kinds of stuff, which you couldn't get through cable and stuff at the time. So that was just super cool to be able to watch all kinds of games that you couldn't normally watch in St. Louis at the time.
I drove by a bar last week in Godfrey, I think, or maybe it was East Alton, but we were heading up to Riverbend Records for Record Store Day, and they have one of the giant old school satellites, and I was wondering if that was still functional and what's available on that at this point.
I'm
thinking it would be all porn.
I want to say a lot of the stuff that you got back in the day, eventually they scrambled all that stuff. Like you couldn't just tap into any that stuff over the air again, like you could back in the day with the satellite just to pick up stations. I don't think that doesn't work that way anymore with those things. So I'm not sure the details, but I heard they like scrambled all kinds of stuff. So if you did turn a station on, you could get back in the day. It was all scrambled, like scrambled porn, you know.
Oh yeah. So
you'd try and watch what you could.
That was a nipple. I swear to God.
I swear to God, it was a nipple. Patrick Yoder is in the chat. Says, "Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues." This is a fun time of year. I know some people are out there. You know who you are. They're, sell off the team. You're not going to win the cup, so just sell it. No.
This is why you don't.
This is why you don't sell players. This is playoff hockey is a blast. And if the Blues don't get out of this round, then they don't get out of the round. But you know what? For a week or plus or whatever it's going to be, it's pretty fantastic. So this is what it's all about. The Blues, after winning 12 straight, setting a new franchise record, they did drop a few in a row. One of them in overtime in a shootout. The Blues lost to Edmonton 4-3 last Wednesday. I was worried, and this was a heartbreaking because it was tied, and then McDavid sets up a play that the Blues lose in 17 seconds to go, something like that.
Yeah, Connor Brown, who filling in for the rest of the injured roster there. That was heartbreaking. I will say I'm glad I didn't stay up and try to watch that because I would have been pissed.
Yeah,
but
I was so worried. I mean, because you just came off the 12-game win streak, and then you had the loss to Winnipeg. Which, okay, win streak can't go on forever. It's fine. Winnipeg's a great team. No shame in losing to them. It was a 2-1 game. They lost the empty net goal late 3-1. But whatever, it is what it is. They didn't play particularly well, but whatever. Winnipeg's good. So then you have that tie game late in Edmonton, and then it just you give up that goal so late, and it's like I don't know. I was hoping that lost point didn't come back to burn the Blues. So, but and it turns out it didn't. I mean, I guess it did in a sense where they didn't get the first wild card spot. They end up getting the second. So if they hold on to that point and everything else plays out the same, then they do finish with the first wild card spot. We're playing Vegas instead of Winnipeg. So everyone has their own preferences on who they would have rather played. Someone in Vegas, someone in Winnipeg. At the time, for a while, I was wanting Vegas. I said it on the show, but then I don't know. The thought that, and we'll get into the playoff predictions in a little bit, but I didn't want any part of Winnipeg and Hellebuck, but so I was worried this point was going to affect that, and it did. But it didn't keep us out, so we're in. So that's the main thing is that we're in the playoffs. The Blues did drop the next one in the shootout to the Kraken 4-3 on Saturday. This was their third straight loss. This one hurt. It was in a shootout, and another opportunity at 2 points that didn't happen. Got the 1 point, battled back at the 1 point. That was great. But we had 3 goals in the third. Stormback had the lead and then blew the lead, and then it went to overtime and then lost in a shootout after a long shootout. I think it was like 8 rounds. But so this was another point that they could have had, they didn't get. But and then the Blues, so that set the stage for Utah on Tuesday, the game against Utah, that the Blues had to win to control their own fate. Right, they had to win this game, or they had to wait for other games to complete if they didn't win this game regulation. So they did win this game regulation. Way won big, 6-1. Snuggerud scores his first NHL goal in this game after missing on a breakaway earlier in the game. Trees said 6. What did I say? Did I not say 6? I thought I said 6. Yeah, it was 6-1. If I didn't say 6, it was 6-1. That's what Ponder has here in the notes. Yeah, it was 6-1. But Snuggerud does score later. The goal was reviewed. It stood. Gets his first. And Snuggerud been impressed with his game so far. He has looked strangely confident and effective his first 5 games in the NHL. So this is going to be interesting with him moving forward in the playoffs and how he plays against a good Winnipeg team. And Joe Schmo says in the chat, nice to see Schwartz getting his 25th, given they lost. Yeah, I think everyone's a fan of Jaden Schwartz and his contributions in 2019, except for Jeff Ponder, apparently, who hates the man. I'm sure he's listening, or maybe not. He's on a plane. But Snuggerud in the playoffs, it'll be interesting to see how he plays when things tighten up and goals become harder to come by. But I'd love to see him kind of step up a little bit and help replace the loss of Holloway for how long he's out, which we'll get into in a little bit. Thomas does finish finishes with 25 points during his point streak, which he extended in this game, and 30 points. Let's see, 4 goals, 26 assists in the final 17 games. He becomes the first Blue to record 80 or more points in back-to-back seasons since Brett Hull in the 95-96 and 96-97 seasons. So, just talked about Robert Thomas, Bill, becoming the first Blue to record 80 points or more in back-to-back seasons since Brett Hull. So,
yeah, pretty impressive. But what I really think is pretty impressive about that is that it's been that long since
I know
we've had somebody get 80 points.
Yeah, 80 points isn't something astronomical.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it has been, it was a very defensive period, right, from the time Hull left until 2012, 2014.
Yep.
So that's awesome for Robert Thomas. Still very, very underrated around the league.
I think, and that's a shame. Not that it matters really, but it's always. I mean, I know as a fan growing up, it was always really super cool to see in the NHL promos, little commercials, and highlight little clips and things, intros, to see a Blues player in there. Just doing something. And your local guys getting recognized by the NHL nationally in some kind of video highlight or something. It was always super cool as a kid growing up to see that. So I know some people might still feel that way. So it's I don't think Thomas gets the recognition that he probably should in that respect with in those kinds of things, which he should. He deserves it. He's a fantastic player, one of the best passers in the game.
I always compared him to Matthew Barzal. Right there, very similar players. Barzal, probably a little bit better skater, but Barzal gets so much more attention because he's in New York. And Thomas, I don't know. I think you're right. He's got to be top 5 passer in the league right now.
He did leave this game in the third period with a lower body injury. Montgomery did say after the game that it was precautionary to take him out, and he thinks Thomas is fine. Thomas, however, was not a participant in practice today. But again, Montgomery said today that it was just a maintenance day. Montgomery said it was a heavy defensive drills day, and Thomas is one of the better defensive forwards, so he didn't need their extra work anyway today. So that's read into that what you will. Teams will be cryptic around playoff time as far as what's bugging players, what injuries they have, and everything. But the constant message from Montgomery since taking him out was that he's fine. It was a stick to the tender area, was it not?
To me, it looked like the butt end of the stick got stuck in his pants, and he tried to work around that and might have tweaked the groin. That's what I thought. I didn't think it was a shot to the boys.
All right, let's hope for no ruptured testicles or anything that we've seen in the past with the Blues players.
No Rich Perrant.
No Rich Perrant. Every time I think about that, I think of Jeff Sargent, but it's Perrant.
Right. I had to think through that myself just now.
I'm like, no, it's not Sargent. Who was it? Perrant. Yeah, good old Al McKinnon slap shot. So Binnington did start this game. He started the last 3 games of the season for the Blues. So I think that it was telling. They wanted to get that those last couple points to solidify their spot in the playoffs, and going with the number 1, makes complete sense. And I think in this game, the Blues dominated pretty much from start to finish, especially in the first period. A different Blues team showed up in this game compared to the previous 3. Where they didn't play particularly well in the losses. Could have got a couple points more than they did in the previous 3. They had the chance to, but they didn't. So they were all over Utah early, essentially put the game away early. It was a huge game for the Blues, and they played like it.
Yeah, no, I was completely, I was describing the game to all the people that I talked to at work as sphincter clenching. Right,
Yeah.
this is going to be
Oh.
one of those games that you're just completely, just all
Yeah.
night long, and they came out and put us at ease pretty early.
Can you imagine if the scenario happened the way so let's say the Blues had to win this game, or Minnesota had to lose in regulation. Let's say that scenario existed. Because near the end of this game, I flipped over to the Minnesota game because that determined, because after this game was well in hand and it was determined already. So I turned on the Minnesota game, Minnesota Anaheim game, and because that game would then determine whether the Blues finished in the first wild card or the second wild card. And if Minnesota lost in regulation, then the Blues would finish in the first wild card. And they scored against Anaheim with 20 seconds to go. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. And it was after a great. Did you watch that, Bill, at all? Did you see the goal?
I saw the highlights. Yeah.
Did you see the stick save that Anaheim's goalie made? My God! And then they tapped it in because there was no one there to
because
defend.
Anaheim doesn't have defense. Right.
Yeah, they didn't. Oh my God! Great. Just a reach back, completely open net, and he gets it with the toe of his stick. His goalie stick, but the puck's still sitting there, and they just hit it in.
Yeah.
So
Lucas Dostal did us a lot of favors this year when we played, and he played him, having some not great moments, but that was a great moment that his defense let him down.
Yeah. And I'm like, as a goalie, you gotta be like, come on, guys. I made the first big save. Let's go, clean that shit up.
Yeah, but he's going full Denny Lemieux after that. Trade me right fucking now.
Yeah. So, so that goal happens, and then you're like, okay, this is going overtime. That means that the Blues get the second wild card no matter what. So, it is what it is. I was, like I said before, I was, kind of wanting the Blues to play Vegas. I know a lot of people were saying otherwise. They wanted Winnipeg because of Winnipeg's struggles in the past and playoffs and Hellebuck's problems in the playoffs and stuff like that. But, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But they do have the Jets.
I agree with you. Right. I kind of like the matchup against Vegas. Vegas, they finished atop the Pacific Division, but they didn't particularly have a great stretch run. I'll tell you, I would favor our goaltending in that series.
Yes, our goaltending, and with Holloway out, I would like our offense better too. I know Vegas outscored us during the season, but if you look at the last 60 games or whatever, I think we're up on them. So, it is what it is. But speaking of Holloway, he did miss the last 5 Blues games with an injury. He remains week to week. Montgomery did say that Holloway was on the ice doing some stick handling, but nothing rigorous. Who knows how close he is to returning? The Blues aren't going to say really one way or the other, I don't think. It would not be surprising. This has happened before in the playoffs, to where you think a guy is out for a number of games yet, and all of a sudden it's announced during the pregame skate that or after the pregame skate that he's in the starting lineup, or he's in the run. He's playing. So that
was kind of the story with Parayko, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't on anybody's radar,
right?
And all of a sudden, he's playing,
right? So I mean, he's not skating hard, and Parayko had been skating hard for like a week plus. So there's that. Now, you knew he was close. So we don't know how close Holloway is because the reports are he is not really doing much in practice except from stick handling. so there's that. So that's a little concerning. If I had to guess, the earliest he would return maybe be later in the series, if at all in the series. So the Blues are 2-2-1 since Holloway got hurt, but only 1 regulation win in the last 4 without him. So, and that includes a 3-1 loss to Winnipeg.
Right. And I will say he not a perfect replacement, but Jimmy Snuggerud coming along just in time to fill that gap. and we're not. I thought Texier started showing signs of life at least before Snugger came along and took that spot right back away from him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I every game watching Jimmy play, he is getting more and more confident. Finally got his goal. Can't wait to see him score on that wrist shot and not something going off his skate.
Yeah.
And once that happens, look out, league. I think if that happens in game 1 of this series, Hellebuck has got a lot to think about.
Yeah, he's Snuggerud's a player, and he's going to be fun to watch. I've just early on. I mean, usually, when you call up guys, and they start their NHL career, it's you never know what you're going to get. Right. They could take him a while to get going, but I think his first game. I'm thinking Dvorsky. Snugger would look pretty good right out of the chute. Dvorsky looked nervous his first game, but then kind of settled in as he played two or three games.
He did get an assist in his first game.
He did.
But it was from the perimeter. A good play, but it was from the perimeter.
He did.
Right?
I thought he looked indecisive at times, but overall not bad. But Snuggerud has looked great. He's getting chances. He's creating opportunities. Good vision. Good passer. Haven't seen his shot. Haven't seen him get off his shot as much as you probably will eventually.
Right. No, that first game. He had one opportunity. That was the Detroit game, right?
Yep.
And Cam Talbot was on fire that game. So, but yeah, his ability to get that wrist shot off with the speed and accuracy that he does, it like when that starts happening on a regular basis and the puck's ripping the twine, man, we are all going to be fawning over this guy for a couple of for several seasons.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm excited about him. He's a shooter. So
he's a shooter.
Different kind of shooter than Bolduc, though.
Yes,
I love having Bolduc.
My god! Oh my god! That goal in the last the power play goal against Utah, dropping the stick afterwards, like he just how quickly did he get that shot off? Right, he needed no time and space.
Yeah, that's a great spot for him to sit in, and I love the fact because when he first came up, they build him as a shooter. He's a shooter. He's got the shot, and when he did take it, it was like, man, he's got a really good one timer. That we didn't have that since like Perron, with the one timer on the wing on the power play, and so I'm like, okay, all right, you always love to have a guy with a good one timer, right? But they're setting him up in the slot, the high slot, the bumper area, and on the power play especially. And man, that's a great spot for him, and he seems to like it because he gets that shot off quick and hard. Fantastic addition, Bolduc, and I am happy to say that my prediction for him of playing whatever it was, 50 plus games as a Blue.
I think your over under was like 38.
Was it 38? I don't know. Whatever it was. It was whatever it was way off.
He is well surpassed that at this point.
Yeah.
I was pulling so hard for him to get that 20th goal. Like
me
for
too.
Him to hit 20 in his rookie season. Like God, that would have been amazing.
He said that was his goal.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any goals under Bannister. None.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay. And then all of a sudden Montgomery shows up and 2 goals in the first game and he takes off. And I think he lead rookies in goals from that point on, I think it was something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not getting any consideration for the Calder.
No,
I mean, it's Lane Hudson's and then Dustin Wolf would get second place. But I mean, he is Joe Schmo in the chat says becoming a favorite of mine. That's true statement. Yep. I absolutely love Bolduc. I will, I love the fact that he wears 76, my birth year,
Hmm.
I will probably wind up with one of his jerseys at some point.
Yeah. And Joe Schmo said his second half was awesome. It was awesome. So he's playing very well. I mean, it's a great weapon. I mean, because the Blues didn't have that, they didn't have that shot that Bolduc has. He has something the Blues were missing. So it was just a nice of that to come along, actually, to be honest. Joe Boo. The Blues went 19-4-3 since Joe Boo arrived, which was February 22nd. He has been here at home and on the road. And for those who don't know, and there may be plenty, because the movie that he is from is 36 years old. I'm sure plenty of younger Blues fans have never seen the movie. Joe Boo was a character in the 1989 movie Major League, a comedy about a group of misfit baseball players assembled with the intention of having a lackluster on-field performance. One of those players, Pedro Serrano, played by Dennis Haysbert, offered rum and cigars to Joe Boo, who lives in his locker. Much to everyone else's surprise, the team bonds, rallies around Joe Boo, and wins their division. So,
yes, seriously, if you've not seen this movie, it is a classic. To me, it is the top two baseball movies of all time, and there's an emotional plea for Field of Dreams, but Bull Durham and Major League made 2 years apart, two best baseball movies that are out there. And the comedic value of Major League is just absolutely great movie.
Trees said he hasn't seen the Major League in a hot minute. He should check Just Watch. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I watched it probably 2 or 3 months ago with my daughter, because she's a baseball fan, sports fan, hockey fan, plays softball. So we watched it, and it was great, right? And how many? I bet if this doesn't happen, it's a crime. So the first must-win game, if there is one, for the Blues in this series, if someone doesn't bring in a bucket of fried chicken.
Oh yeah,
that's a missed opportunity.
It absolutely has to happen.
And if you don't know what that means, watch the movie. So when the Blues need Joe Boo most, right? Someone needs to bring in a bucket of fried chicken. Then you can't lose.
Going back to my two favorite baseball movies, Bull Durham has that aspect. You got to cut the head off a live chicken to take the curse off of the first baseman's mitt, right? It's for whatever reason in the 1980s, voodoo was a thing, right? For minor league and major league baseball. So
okay, so the Blues in the playoffs. Some information about it. So let's talk about Blues playoffs, Jets. So it'll be the 46th trip to the postseason for the Blues in their 57-year history. Only Vegas has a better percentage of making the playoffs, which, let's be honest, doesn't count because they have not been in the league long enough to be in this kind of discussion. On February 2nd, making the playoffs for the Blues didn't seem likely. The Blues were 7 points out of a wild card spot and hadn't been in that spot since early November. Since then, though, the Blues have put together a string of a record of 21-5-4, collecting more wins, 21, and points, 46, than any team in the league. So as a result, the Blues surged up the standings and became just the 10th team in NHL history to qualify for the playoffs after being 8 or more points out with 26 or less regular season games to go. The club will enter the playoffs with 8 Stanley Cup champions on its roster, including 5 who won a championship with the Blues in 2019. So, and the Blues' 46 playoff appearances are the most among any non-original 6 teams, and second only to the Boston Bruins, who have 49 since the expansion 67-68 season. So,
and I mean, go back to that stat about the 8 Stanley Cup champions. Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg were, a period away from being Stanley Cup champions last year.
A lot of experience.
They went all the way. And I mean, Broberg was a nothing on that team until the playoffs, and he was indispensable.
Yep.
Which, again, all the more crazy that he got signed to an offer sheet. But hey, here we are.
I know. The playoff schedule has been announced. Game 1 will take place on Saturday in Winnipeg, April 19th at 5 p.m. That's 6 p.m. our time, right?
No, that's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. our time. 5 p.m.
Yeah.
5 p.m. our time.
Yeah.
And game 2 is Monday, 21st at 6:30 p.m. our time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get 2 3-day breaks in this series. So Monday to Thursday and Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah,
So,
I know there was some issue with some concerts that both the Blues and Winnipeg had that had to be rescheduled. So our move times, like earlier in the day, later in the day, whatever it was, for both. So and
yeah.
all round 1 games will be on FanDuel Sports Midwest, by the way.
Is the first one, because TNT I thought had exclusive rights to the first game.
Okay, well, according to the Blues website, that's what it has, but I'm sure TNT can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, I am hoping that we get to the second round, but whatever. After the first round, my FanDuel app is getting canceled for the summer. So, yeah. No,
you won't see the FanDuel won't have a game on after I don't think.
No, they won't.
So
no, it's the games are spaced far enough that it's all national broadcasts at that point. Not a big fan of noon start for game 4.
I remember complaining about noon starts. I think it was against Dallas in 2019, and I think the Blues.
Yeah,
I want to say they won that game. That afternoon start. So I don't know. I don't. It's weird. If the Blues win an afternoon start, it's fine. If they lose, then it's just like a kind of a crap mood the rest of the evening. So
yeah, and that it'd be a long night going into a work day the next day.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon. Yeah, that would suck. So let's look at the Jets. So in the 4 games versus the Jets this season, the Blues are 1-2-1. The Jets have the edge in every head-to-head category if you factor in the entire season. So they have the edge in goaltending. Hellebuck is going to win the Vezina, power play, and maybe win the Heart as well.
Probably not, but
probably not.
If
he could.
He deserves votes.
Whether he wins it or not, he could. That's close enough. He's that kind of a player,
right? And the Jets won the President's Trophy, so why not?
They have the edge in power play, penalty kill. They led the Western Conference in goals scored and allowed the least goals, and they won the President's Trophy with 116 points. They've been good all season long, and they finished strong, 7-3 in their last 10. They're good. They're very good. But since the Four Nations face-off, so the Jets have been about the same team all season long. Granted, they started the season 15-1, which they haven't maintained that pace. So that got them out of the chute like crazy good.
Right.
So, but they haven't been that team since. But for the most part, all season long, they've been good. The Blues have been up and down all season long. So they started off. So since the Four Nations face-off, which everyone knows, the Blues were middling well out of the playoff race before the Four Nations face-off. After then, the Blues have the best record in the NHL, 19-4-3. Winnipeg is 7th best. Since then, it's 17-8-1. Still very good, but not as good as the Blues. The Blues lead the NHL in goals scored over that span, 99. Winnipeg has 73. The Blues are 4th in goals against over that span with 60. Winnipeg is number 1 with 56. Not surprising with Hellebuck in net. The Blues are 6th in power play percentage, 27.5%. Winnipeg is 25th, 18.5%. The Blues are 9th in penalty kill, 81.5%. Winnipeg is 16th at 78.6%. The Blues are 3rd in shots against per game, 23.8. Winnipeg is 5th, 24.5. And the Blues are 4th in faceoff percentage, 53.9%. And Winnipeg is 17th at 49.9%. So since the Four Nations face-off, the tables turn. The Blues have the edge in almost every category. The only one that Winnipeg has the edge in that I've listed, I'm sure there are some other rogue categories you can pick out that Winnipeg has, but these are important ones. Winnipeg has goals against. So After the Jets so this is interesting too. So after the Jets 15-1 start, they earned 86 points the rest of the way. Over that same period of time, the Blues earned 82 points. So since Winnipeg's crazy hot start, and the Blues didn't go off to a good start, and that's what got Bannister fired, and the fact that Montgomery became available, they're, as far as points earned, they're one game away from being tied. If the Blues had beat the Winnipeg Jets in one of their head-to-head matches, they'd be tied in points earned since Winnipeg's 15-1 start. So that's 66 games. That's not a small sample size. That's 2/3 of the season over. Right? So, this series should be closer than most are expecting. Depending on how long Holloway is out, Ehlers is out too, which we'll talk about. So it's almost like a wash. But Holloway was a big part of the Blues offense and a big part of the Blues 12-game win streak. But everyone knows it's not how you start the season; it's how you finish. And so, and again, not a small sample size. That's a very large sample size, 66 games. And as far as points earned, they're almost tied. So very close. So that's if you're a Blues fan, that's encouraging, right? Because I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if Winnipeg is picked to win this series by almost everyone. Because when you look at the season stats as a whole, Winnipeg dominates, and they beat the Blues 3 out of 4 times. They won the President's Trophy. They're a good team. How do you pick against the President's Trophy winner in the first round? If you're an analyst, how do you do that? You got to go out on a limb,
right? No, nobody picked the Sharks over the Blues in 99.
That was also 1 versus 8 too, though. But
right.
Yeah. Well, same thing though. I guess this time. Yeah.
It is. I mean, different format, but
sure.
It's the Sharks. Yeah, I mean the Sharks weren't a whole lot at that point in their history. So all right, they had the one upset of the Red Wings a year or two prior to that. But yeah, no, I think that everybody's going to look at the fact that Winnipeg won the President's Trophy, and they looked like a legitimate team, but their playoff record has not been great, right? And that is what gives me the most hope as a Blues fan is Connor Hellebuyck. It has been an amazing goalie in the regular season, and then has moments in the playoffs that just and I think this goes back to when we played them in 2019, right? And I will say I still go back to it was a play by Pionk turning the puck over to Bozak, who threw it in front and tipped in. Like Pionk had we talked about it. We timed it, I think, in a show back then. Turned the puck over, and Schwartz got the tip in goal to win that game.
Oh my god!
Right?
Oh my god!
And since then, Hellebuyck hasn't been able to get the Jets out of the first round, right? And I don't think it's not him, right? He is the best goalie in the NHL over the last several seasons, but the playoff performance hasn't been there, and that's, as a Blues fan, that is what I'm grasping, and I am wanting some weak goals early. Like if I'm the Blues coming out in the first period of game 1, like survive the first shift because Winnipeg's going to bring it, and then just throw every puck you can at the net.
I think you throw every puck at the net and you clog the front of the net. You bump him. You just get in his kitchen, right?
Well, and they're going to do the same thing with Binnington, right? Because look what happened in the Edmonton game, right? Corey Perry stick the fucking neck. I hate that guy. And Binnington was off his game after that. I think it's going to go both ways. I think this could be a very chippy series. But at the end of the day, I like how we line up against them. If we can steal one game in Winnipeg, it puts the doubt in their mind.
Well, okay, so there's a bunch of angles to look at with the series. So as far as Jets forward Nikolai Ehlers, He's out week to week. Will miss at least the start of the NHL playoffs in the first round after colliding with an official on Saturday. He had to be helped off the ice. Ehlers is third on the Jets in scoring, 24 goals, 39 assists, and averaged 15.48 of ice time. And so that, I mean, I guess if you want to look at, it sucks the Blues don't have Holloway, who is third on the Blues in scoring. Well, the Jets don't have Ehlers, who is third on the Jets in scoring. It's almost a wash, right? Those two guys. Now, they also have Gabriel Velarde, who has been out of the lineup for, I think, like a month. But he's skating in his day-to-day right now. Might not see him to start the series. We'll see. You never know, like we mentioned earlier, with how secretive teams are with how close guys are to playing. But he's fifth on the Jets in scoring. So if they don't have Velarde or Ehlers to start the series, that's two of their top 5 goal scorer point getters that aren't in the lineup. So I think that is kind of it levels the playing field a little bit as far as if you think the Jets have the advantage, that helps tilt it more level a little bit. It'd be great if Holloway could come back, but I doubt it for at least the first part of the series. That's 51. So Ehlers and Velarde, that's 51 of their 277 goals that would be out of the lineup if they can't start the series.
Right. And guys that play pretty well against us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always going to be worried about Scheifele and Connor because they just
Connor's
he owns us.
Unreal. Right? Unreal. I have his stats. I'll read later, but yeah, he's unreal.
Yeah, he's I think his name is on the deed to the Enterprise Center at this point.
Hellebuck, we talked about him in the playoffs, his last 10 playoff games, which covers the last 2 playoff seasons, he's 2-8 with a 4.28 GAA and 8.75 save percentage. So, Binnington's last playoff action was versus Colorado when Kadri dove on his knee and took him out. That postseason, he had played in 6 games and had a 4-1 record and a 1.72 GAA and a 9.49 save percentage. So, if we get playoff Hellebuck and playoff Binnington, that's a massive advantage for the Blues, which is crazy to say when they have the current Vezina winner, he's going to win the Vezina, playing out of his mind, maybe having probably his best season ever going to be. So, and the best season a goalie's had in a while.
Yeah. So, no, take nothing away from Connor Hellebuck and his NHL season, but
it's funny.
Let's go back to the Four Nations face-off.
I know
who were the goalies,
and that's the thing. That's the thing too.
The final.
That's the thing too. That's what kind of worries me though. You look at it on the surface, you're like, wow, Binnington beat Hellebuck in the Four Nations face-off. If you're Hellebuck, though, wouldn't that be just extra motivation?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, not that you need motivation for the playoffs because you should be super amped and ready to go. But I mean, you can't manufacture that type of motivation by losing. It's in you, right? If you lose to a goalie in the Four Nations face-off on the big stage, and then just a couple of months later, you have an opportunity to get revenge. That's just you're amped up for that too. So I worry about that a little bit. Because the team in front of Binnington that he had in the Four Nations face-off is very good.
No,
but it's not as good. The team that he has now not as good as Team Canada.
Right, you don't have a Connor McDavid coming out of a funk to get left alone in front.
Right.
There are a lot of differences, but I think one thing this could be the series that defines whether Connor Hellebuck is considered an elite goalie, right? If Binnington beats him, like if it comes down to a goalie duel in this series and Binnington beats him, I think that's going to hang over him for the rest of his career.
Can you imagine? Like he's already got the label of a guy who can't get done in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And after his Vezina winning season, he does it again in the playoffs, can't get it done. If he puts up a sub 900 save percentage again, it's like that's at some point you're like, this is who he is. He's not going to be any different. He's been in the league a while now. This is who he is. So I don't know. We'll I worry about that, about the Four Nations face-off angle with this.
Really?
So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean it's a great storyline. And probably one of the more unheralded storylines coming into this playoffs. Like, I mean, look around the league, how many great first round matchups do we have? Right? It's like I was going through it earlier today. I'm like, the one that kind of disappoints me most is Minnesota and Vegas, right? But everything else is like, wow, this is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I don't think the Blues and the Jets are getting quite the hype nationally that they probably should. Except for what's his name on TNT. He's like all about look out for the Blues. What's his name? Bissonnette.
Yeah.
He's like, watch out for the Blues. They're gonna come up and bite you. So he's been touting them for a little bit. Back when they a while. He goes, "Can the Blues? You think the Blues are gonna go on a run?" And he kind of called it before it happened.
Yeah.
So he's been one of the few that's been saying, "Look out for the Blues." So,
hey, look, Nazem Kadri scored another meaningless goal for the Flames.
Yeah, good for him, though. Good for him.
It's good for him.
All right. So, as far as predictions go, and what we're looking for in the series, so I'm looking at a few specific things that I think can dictate who wins the series. Obviously, goaltending. We talked about at length. Who shows up for Winnipeg, who shows up for the Blues. Snuggerud, we talked about, I think, with Holloway seemingly out, at least early on in the series. I think maybe the entire first round. Snuggerud, I'm watching him hard to see if he can help fill that gap a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think Buchnevich is a guy that I think has needed to be better the past couple of years. I think this is a good opportunity for him to step up. He's a guy who can disappear. So I'd like to see him not do that in this series.
Yeah, he's been so frustrating through most of this season, but the last few games he's looked better. And that setup from Neighbors to him, that was a thing of beauty.
I think being more decisive and just getting the puck on net are the two things for him.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and I think that's it. The key is being decisive and not trying to overdo it, overthink it, and try to force it past through the slot.
Right.
That's when you know he's overthinking.
Yeah. Don't make the low percentage pass when you have a shooting lane. Right. You got an opportunity to get the puck on net, take it. Don't try and force something that's not there. I think that's kind of what he's done a little too much of. But Justin Falk, I think he's struggled down the stretch, especially the last week plus. He needs to clean his game up. We talked about the Stanley Cups. The Blues have 8 players who've won a cup. The Jets have none. 0. Not a single person has won a cup on the Jets. So if you believe that playoff experience and playoff success matters, the Blues have the edge.
Yeah.
So, and you talked about, Broberg and Holloway too, being within an inch of the Stanley Cup last season. So they almost got there. They have all that experience. So I think that's big.
Yeah. Go back to Justin Falk for a second.
Yep.
Our private chat that we have was filled with so much vitriol towards that man over the last 2-3 weeks. I mean, every game you open up the hockey stats card or hockey stat cards and you're like, oh, I didn't think it was that bad, but
right at the bottom.
Right. Every fucking game.
It was 3 games in a row. He was the worst player on the ice for the Blues. And I was like, oh my God.
But go to the Utah Hockey Club game and he looked really fucking good. Right. He was pinching but not giving the puck away. His instincts seem to be really good there. And I'm hoping that, he'll get balanced out. His ice time will get balanced out by Parayko being back. I think, at least for me and probably for you and Jeff as well, we were all hoping to see him pull out. And this is kind of crazy for how much I dislike Tyler Tucker. And how much should I have talked about the guy over the year? But I was hoping that it was Falk that was coming out. When it was announced that Broberg would be playing in the Utah game. But credit to Justin Falk. He's a veteran. He's a gamer, and I thought he had overall a pretty good game.
Puck Guy 14 says, "Shock the world, friends, and our new uni's coming." We're going to try and shock the world. It's going to be fun. I think the Blues are going to do better than most think. Whether we can win the series, I don't know. I mean, I hate making predictions as far as who's going to win, but a lot of factors. Our new uni is coming. I guess he's talking about the poll the Blues did, and which jersey won as far as the favorite jersey, and it was the 2017 Winter Classic jersey. So there's some rumblings that the Blues are maybe going to rebrand the jerseys for next season.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if they do that, they'd go with the blue Winter Classics from 17 and the blue Winter Classics from to Minnesota 2 years ago.
Yeah, you mean the cream?
The cream,
Winter
the
Classics.
whites, the creams. Yeah, but they would be white. They wouldn't be cream, I don't think. But
right, yeah.
So
whites.
The white.
To quote John Goodman in The Big Lebowski.
It boggles my mind that there are a group of fans out there that don't like the Winter Classic jerseys. Those two.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the two. The blue one for sure is my favorite, and it's the best jersey they've ever had.
I mean, they've kind of made it the Saturday. The Heritage jersey is the Saturday jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing right there.
Yes. Right. That one. That's a good one. And the one next to it would be even better if it didn't say St. Louis in the front.
Yeah, this is true.
I like the back of it. The back of it looks good.
Love it. Different, like the font and the typeset on the numbers, brilliant.
Yeah,
but St. Louis across the front doesn't work here.
I like the bar, the stripe, the big thick stripe across the chest, but I don't like what's in it. If I would have liked them to go with the old dark thirds, the arch and the note, that circle over the top of that something like that might look better. But anyway, there might be a rebrand. So Ponder is like slumming around in the chat.
Wait, is it that quick of a flight to St. Louis from Dallas?
I don't know.
Or I know he's not. He didn't buy in-flight Wi-Fi. That didn't happen.
He might have.
No.
It's only like $8.
Depends on what.
Southwest it was like $8, I think.
Yeah,
we just flew
on. No, I'm thinking he's back in St. Louis, and he's probably driving down 270 right now, watching the show instead of the road. More allegations coming.
Yeah, Mr. Allegations saying who sucks and who rules. He don't know. 31 Teeth. Have we had 31 Teeth on the show before? I'm not sure. I've missed a few shows down the stretch, so maybe I don't know.
But long time caller, first time listener.
Right.
My goodness, what's going on here in LA?
4-0. I see
4-5. 5. Oh,
well, I'm behind. Why am I always behind you?
Because I have faster internet. I'm closer to the city.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
I'm
faster internet.
to the city, so.
Oh yeah, right. It gets to you first. I see.
Right, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
31T says those two are the cleanest jerseys in our history. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like. All right, so and I think it goes without saying that for Winnipeg, you're looking at Hellebuck, and you're looking at guys like Kyle Connor, Blues killer, who has 33 points in 27 career games against the Blues. The only team he has more points against is the Vancouver Canucks. His plus 19 and his 5 game-winning goals versus the Blues are his best against any team. He had 5 points in 6 games, which he had 3 goals to assist versus the Blues in the 2019 playoffs. So he had a nice playoff against the Blues too in those 6 games. So reel him in. I think if you want to oversimplify it, if you stop Kyle Connor, you win the series.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to boil it down to something very, very simple, you could. I think if you just say, "Hey, Kyle Connor had 2 assists in the series, and that was it," do you think you win the series? That's a pretty good chance.
Right. I mean, I think Winnipeg's got they improved. Go back to when they kind of fleece LA in the PL Dubois trade, right? Velarde, and I'm blanking on who's on the back line for them, but they've got depth. I think a little better depth than we faced them in 2019. The other guy that I think would probably be a bit of a Blues killer in this series is going to be Adam Lowry. He had what could have been like the dagger goal early in game 6, I think, or maybe game 5. I guess it was game 5 when we went back to Winnipeg in 19. He scored in the first 12 seconds of that game, and I was like, "Oh, this is it." Yeah. He has a knack for scoring big goals. He's their captain. He's a large presence. I worry about him. But end of the day, I was watching some highlights earlier today. My favorite Jordan Binnington save this year, and it was my favorite Bill Day save of the week. Sorry, we're not going to do one of those tonight. The save on Scheifele in St. Louis early in the year, where absolutely great pass coming in from the point. I forget who set him up. It looked like a shot, but it was a pass. Scheifele had an empty net. Binnington read it perfectly, got the kick save over on it. I like Binnington getting in their heads in this series. Are we doing predictions?
We can. You want to do one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Blues in 6.
Blues in 6. If the Blues had Holloway and everything else was the same, I would pick the Blues in 6 as well. But since he's out and I don't know if he's coming back, I know Ehlers is out too, but I'm gonna say Jets in 6.
Yeah,
I don't like it. The reason why I say that is because Hellebuck scares me, and and as good as the Blues looked in their 12-game winning streak down the stretch, they played amazing after the Four Nations face-off. Their schedule was easier. They had one of the easiest schedules down the stretch in the NHL. I'm not taking anything away from the Blues, but I think that helped. If they didn't have quite as easy of a schedule, maybe they don't get in. Maybe they don't get a couple more points and they don't get in. So, yeah, I don't do predictions because you never know what's going to happen. I'd rather do game-to-game predictions, like based on what happened in the last game and what you're seeing from the teams and things that carry over. Much happier to do that. But as far as series as a whole, I hate doing predictions. But if we're going to do them, I'll say Jets in 6 just to keep things, so we're not like a homer show.
But we are.
And I totally hope the Blues win it in 5, 6, 7. I don't care. Just if the Blues can get it done, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. But I'll just say Jets in 6 just to keep things even.
So real quick, around the NHL, what do you think what series do you think has the greatest opportunity for a massive upset?
Let me pull it up here so I can have them in front of me. Okay. Massive upset. I know what you're going to go with.
Do you?
Montreal over Washington.
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
no. I think that you can make an argument that, Washington was, kind of on Ovechkin's back through most of this season.
Uh-huh.
And Montreal is playing really well. I mean, I was drooling Ivan Demidov's first game last week watching that, and they still lost to the Blackhawks. So I'm still not convinced. I like Sam Montembeault. Let's see what he does once he gets into the playoffs. Maybe he's the Jordan Binnington of this year. But no, my thing is going to be Ottawa over Toronto.
Okay. All right.
The Battle of Ontario. The Battle
Toronto.
of Ontario is going to be a thing of beauty.
If Toronto loses in the first round to Ottawa, oh my God, that would be so on brand. And I've said before on the show, I root for chaos. And if I love watching Toronto in the playoffs just because it's going to be chaotic either way. The fans up there are gripping their sticks so tight, and they're if they win, okay, they got out of the first round. If they lose, then the shit hits the fan with everything again. Every year, it's like a broken record with Toronto. Jeff says we're getting playoff Hellebuck, bring it on. But then he says Jets in 6. Which is it? If you get playoff Hellebuck, we're winning the series.
Yeah, in 4.
Yeah, we'll say 5. But yeah, come on, Jeff, you can't have it both ways. Pick a horse. Ken Morris says Blues are going to win as they have the better podcasters. I did not have that in my comparison chart, but he is right. He is right.
I didn't have the stats. I will say I did check out Jets Hub before this show, and guy does a great job. Except he really glazed over the contributions, like when he went roster to roster comparison.
Yeah.
And I know he wanted to get to he did the Blues first, but he glazed over Bolduc and Snuggerud. He mentioned them, but didn't talk about how dynamic they are at a very young age. So he wanted to talk more about Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, I watched that very same on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
I watched that same damn thing today. I was looking around. I'm like, I'll see what some Jets, and I picked that one. I'm like, it was well done.
Yeah,
I agree with you. They didn't. I mean, it was only 8 minutes long, I think.
Right.
So it didn't go into a ton of detail, but yeah.
I mean, a lot better time wise than I want to catch up some Blues action. Let's watch Let's Go Blues Radio. 240 here. 122. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Hey, anyone who's listening, go ahead and check out Jets Hub on YouTube, and they put out a playoff preview for the Jets and the Blues. And I did comment under the Let's Go Blues radio account under there to kind of give my breakdown. Wished them luck and all that BS. So I was cordial, but yeah, go check it out and leave some comments and be nice. It was a pretty fair review. It wasn't. I didn't think it was too homerish. They picked the Jets in 5. So
yeah.
Which as a if you're a Jets fan, I understand why you think they win in 5. So that's not a crazy prediction, but I don't think it'll be that. I think I think the Jets in 6 if they get Vezina Hellebuck. I think if they get playoff Hellebuck, I think the Blues in 6.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's the one thing you can never predict are injuries once we get into the series.
Yep.
The Jets lose Connor, the Blues lose Thomas or Kyrou. It's a scary prospect. Or the Blues get 2 injuries on defense, because I'm not big on our depth on the back end.
Okay.
If we have to call up Matthew Kessel, it's not a good series for us.
Yeah, keep an eye on Snuggerud. That's a very important. If he plays well and contributes, that's huge.
Yeah.
And
if he fills the gap left by the loss of Dylan Holloway,
or 80% of it, if he fills 80% of it, that's which he may have to do to win the series, right? And he's got to,
which is kind of what he did down the stretch.
Yeah, I think, and it hurts a little more to not have Holloway when you are facing the best goalie in the world too, right? So so that extra punch, it probably doesn't hurt the Jets as much to not have Ehlers, as it is for the Blues to not have Holloway. So because the Jets, they scored more goals than the Blues this season. They're a little deeper. So, but like I said, we'll see. Since the last 66 games, they're almost even.
Yeah. Like you said, very close.
It is very
close. One head-to-head matchup goes the other way, or even dead even. Yeah.
Yep.
But I'll go back to it again. The storyline I am looking at most in this series is the goaltending, and is Hellebuck gonna be motivated to revenge the Four Nations loss?
How do you not?
Binnington?
How do you not want to revenge that? I mean. Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, I worry about that. I worry about that extra motivation, like you need any, but that's the kind of motivation you can't just create on your own. That it happened to him, and so he wants revenge. That's just I'm sure that's the way he's thinking. Jeff's mom. Hi, Jeff's mom. She says Blues in 6, so she agrees with you, Bill.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm in the right here. Thank you, Mary Ponder.
All right, so that's and Ken Morris says the hockey guy has a good podcast. He does, and I've only seen him on YouTube. I assume that's what you mean. His YouTube show. I guess he has a podcast too, along with his YouTube show. Maybe he's a very visual guy on the show,
right? We consider ourselves a podcast, but we're YouTubers,
right? But we do put out the podcast as well. So the next day,
true. And you and Jeff do a hell of a job editing.
It's fun to put together. I'm not gonna lie. When you edit the show, some folks might not like it, but it's fun to go through and put together.
I'll take your word for it.
What else we got here? Brandon DeRoos. Speaking of Toronto, what are your thoughts on Mitch Marner on the other wing with Thomas and Butch? 2 Blues with 100+ points for the first time since Hull and Shanny in 92-93.
That would be a beautiful thing, but I don't think Tom Stillman's going to open the checkbook that much.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the cap space in a while. Let's see
but the cap space is like that. So
it's going up. I know
next year. So and this, next year is going to be like, who's the drunkest GM, right? That's what I think the theme for this offseason is going to be, because the cap's going to go up, but who's the sanest owner who knows that that revenues are going to be hurt in every other facet of the economy.
I would love to have Marner, but that
two London Knights as your 1 and 2 center.
Yeah,
got Thomas and Marner. That would be
that's it. And if you're going to look at a need, center depth. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, we look at number 3, number 4 centers. It's like, could be better.
Right. I mean, I was a doubter for Braden Shen, and he's had a hell of a year.
He has.
Right. As a captain, but he's punched above his weight. Next year, we are going to need a bona fide number 2 center. If we can do it, Mitch Marner, probably too expensive.
Yeah, I got to imagine it's too expensive. And is that the area you want to address? Because Suter, I'd assume, is not going to be here next year.
I assume he's going to retire after this year.
And Fowler will be here. He's under contract unless they move him. But, so I like Fowler being here. But you'd have to. Are you going to play Tucker? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like that. But
yeah, I think you have to make an investment in, like, you're going to have to probably make a signing at D and at center. I don't think you can trust Oscar Sundqvist as your 3C next year.
But
right?
he's also playing a lot of power play time too, which bothers me.
But he played a lot, but they're finding more and more confidence in Snuggerud.
Which is great
in that spot. So I would much rather, I think Fox has had a fairly decent year. But if we need to pencil somebody in for fourth line center next year, Sundqvist is the guy. Maybe after that he's done. But
Sundqvist, he's under contract for next year. That's his last year. Texier is also as well under contract next year.
Yeah. I would be shocked if he gets more playing time next year than he did this year. I think, circumstances haven't been the best for him. But I think he also didn't make as much of the opportunities he had early in the year, and didn't make the impression he needed to get more playing time.
There's Dvorsky too. So Dvorsky is going to be next year. He's going to be playing. So
and
he's going to be a center. And so where do you put him? Ideally, I think they'd love it if he could eventually be the number 2 center.
Right. I think more than likely he's going to wind up playing mostly on the wing next year, just because the Blues don't slot in rookies.
That's true.
In a center position, right? It's not a thing we do.
No, it's not.
But hey, Calgary, congratulations! You did enough to make it, except we didn't let you.
Yeah, they did what they had to do.
Yeah,
they were fantastic.
Right.
Down the
And
stretch.
they are an impressive team, and they dressed 5 rookies tonight. And they have some really good looking young kids on that team. They're going to be good for a few years to come.
As long as Kadri is not, I mean, I can root for Calgary as long as Kadri's not on it.
Yeah.
So.
He did what he could to get them across the line. But
he did. He was fantastic.
I'm gonna say karma kept them from the playoffs.
Let's see. Joe Schmo. Can any of these other young forwards with C's next to their name play center in the NHL? Is there a follow-up to that, or is he?
That's
These other young forwards with C's next to their name.
Is he talking about players that have played center in the A?
Okay, I'm looking at let's see. Stenberg, you mean? Like Stenberg and Dvorsky and Kaskamaki. I mean, it was a bunch of centers. But
what happened to Zach Dean?
Yeah, what happened to Zach Dean?
He was injured most of this year, right?
Yeah,
so,
he's a center. So yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say, and it's not fair to him, but he played a couple of games. He didn't impress me at all when he played.
Right.
Was it last year?
Yeah, he got the call up right around the same time as Bolduc, and Bolduc was definitely the better player.
Okay. Yeah, Dean didn't impress me at all, but I'm like, he's still he's 22 right now, so yeah.
Bolduc, for instance, Joe Schmo says, Bolduc needs just to fill it on the wing and find that bumper spot for that one timer. That's his role.
Yeah, he's a shooter. I wouldn't.
He's a shooter.
He's a shooter. I wouldn't put playmaking. I like what he brings with it being set up. He's the guy you set up. So, I don't know. I think they're going to go with Dvorsky. I don't think there's no way in hell they're going to sign Mitch Marner. There's not a chance.
Yeah.
It's just too much money, and they have Dvorsky. They wanted to try out. So,
we're not highest draft pick in years.
Yeah, and I think, maybe if this team was one piece away from being like, oh my gosh, the Blues are the clear-cut cup winners, cup favorites, and signing Marner, if they could sign Marner to get them to that level, that's a different story. But I don't think, I think they're wanting to develop more, so and go that route. We'll see. There's no reason for Marner to take a discount to come here either. It's not his hometown or anything. So
yeah, I think that's pipe dream at best.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
No,
I think every
absolutely.
team. Oh, you know what though? But there is a guy, and Marner is a free agent, right? It's not a trade. Okay, so so yeah, a free agent hits the market. Where are all these Toronto fans saying Marner will look good in a Maple Leafs uniform next season? You know, he's going to sign here, which they always do with free agents, right? We'll take him, or people on the trade block, like the top names that are on the market. They think they have, which now it's going the other way.
Yeah,
one of the top names is leaving, probably.
It's I don't know. There's so much psychosis in the fandom of Toronto, right? You've got the major hockey media based there, and you've got a million podcasts like ours, and everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a podcast, and I think that it's impossible to say what's going to happen with him. I would absolutely, as a Montreal fan, it pains me to say it, but I would love to see that core in Toronto ultimately wind up winning something.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm with you. I root for Toronto in the playoffs. I do, but if they lose, I just kind of laugh. You know what I mean? That's the way. That's where I'm at.
Right. It's what happens. Right.
Right.
It's
like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the richest franchise in the NHL has not won a cup since the Blues have been in the league. Since they expanded from 6 teams to 12.
Yeah.
It's like, what? How does that happen? And they missed their window when there was no salary cap. They could have bought a number of cups, and it just didn't work out. So,
Harold Ballard would never buy a Stanley Cup.
I feel for the sane Maple Leaf fans, the ones that don't go crazy,
Yeah.
But I feel for the Buffalo fans, that they just can't. They're just terrible. You look like they're on the cusp of maybe being a playoff team. Was it last year, the year before? They got kind of close to making the playoffs, and now they're back at the bottom again.
Right. Kevin Adams has to get fired this offseason. Right?
How do you? Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
I mean, he got. Buffalo felt like they got screwed with the McDavid going to Edmonton over and them getting Eichel, but Eichel is a fucking hell of a player, and they wasted him. Right, they wasted 7 years of his career.
They wasted him, and they also treated him poorly near the end. They hold the neck surgery thing, and then that was just a bad look. It makes players not want to go there. I mean, they can't help that situation.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Did we put this up here for Ken Morris? His prediction: Blues in 7.
No.
He says Binner in our playoff experience pulls us through. Jets lose and consider moving back to Atlanta. Wow.
It may happen, right? There was talk in the beginning of this year about how their season ticket holders were not renewing because they weren't winning in the playoffs, and they go on that crazy thing to begin the season, and that talk stops. But what happens if it's another first round exit?
I mean, there's so many negatives. It's almost like this has to be the year for Winnipeg to do something, because if they've got the season ticket holder thing and the fans being down on the franchise, which I mean, we're Blues fans. How many years did we not get it done in the playoffs?
Oh,
I don't think we ever.
That was our thing.
Yeah, that was our thing. We made the playoffs and we didn't get it done. That was the way it went. Now in the early 80s, we almost moved to Saskatoon, but that was didn't. Winnipeg's already lost a franchise once. And now it hasn't been that long since they got the Jets back, or another franchise, right? They're called the Jets. So it's like, you would think they would have learned from the past mistakes. Like, don't do this. Don't fuck around and boycott the team and not buy tickets and cost the owners money, because teams can move. And if St. Louis is any, we can tell you, if you lose 2 teams in the same league,
You're
probably
never
ain't getting a
getting
third
one
one.
back.
Yeah, you're not,
Right.
because
Right.
the Cardinals left and the Rams left, and now everyone says, well, you can't get a third team.
Right.
So-
You will be forever the home of the Manitoba Moose.
You're right.
We're the Battlehawks now, baby.
Which is so funny to me. I mean, the Battlehawks are a fun sideshow. They're fun to watch. I don't mind them. But
I haven't watched a fucking second of their games.
you know what?
Sorry.
Last year,
I'm sorry. I am done with football in St. Louis.
they're a fun sideshow. That's the way I look at them. They have some fun rules, better than the NFL as far as some of the rules go. But and you hear some fans say, we don't need the NFL, we have the Battlehawks. And I'm like, hold on. Just stop. The XFL, which is now the UFL.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's a fun sideshow. But if the NFL were to come knock on the door and say, hey, we want to expand to St. Louis, get an ownership group together, we'll make it happen. And you can be damn sure that there would be a grassroots thing here to bring an NFL team back. And it'd be like the Battlehawks who?
Right.
Come on. I mean, that's
Right.
I mean, I get if you're down on the NFL because of what happened. Who wouldn't be? Because the St. Louis was screwed. But yeah, if they came knocking, there'd be some people that said, nope, we don't want them back, but they'd watch. So, except for you, apparently, Bill.
Yeah, I would not. I would not. I am done with football in this city. I would sooner go to an NBA game in St. Louis than an NFL game. I'll tell you what. I will go to a PWHL game in St. Louis before
for
I
sure.
go to an NBA or NFL game.
We did.
I mean a regular season one with a St. Louis franchise.
Right. That'd be fun.
That'd be amazing.
Joe Schmo says football is dead to me. Kroenke should be. I'm all about the Kroenke hate. Kroenke is a piece of shit. Piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's why it's so much fun. It's like an extra reason to hate Colorado. Fuck him. Fuck Kroenke.
Yeah, I am really hoping that Mikko Rantanen scores the series-winning goal against Colorado in the first round with Dallas this year. That would be a thing of beauty.
That's okay. So the Dallas Colorado series. I think Colorado wins the series.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't want them to.
Is Hayes gonna come back? Is he gonna be able to
I don't
play?
know. I haven't heard. Yeah.
If he's there, the emotional boost that Dallas gets, I actually like them better.
Okay, I hope they
again with Colorado. At the end of the day, it comes down to goaltending.
Well,
they made a massive gamble going with Blackwood and Wedgwood and 3-wood and 5-wood, but Ottinger's the better goalie in that series. And Dallas has been so good for most of the season. Wyatt Johnson, Matt Duchene, those guys are they've had amazing seasons, and Colorado hasn't impressed me as much as in years past.
Who do you want to play in the second round?
Minnesota.
No,
we can't play them. I know.
No, it's me, Dallas or Colorado.
Right. I would rather play Colorado, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think I'd rather play for multiple reasons. I think that's probably the better matchup. Also, want some revenge from a few years ago.
Yeah. So. Nope. And going back to
Binnington owns Colorado.
Right. He owns McKinnon, right?
Yeah.
Go back to that last game where he said, I can't beat this guy. Right. they got him on camera saying it. But then he went out and he did. So
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that would be a hell of a series. I think that goes 7 games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like
that'd be fun to watch.
I like that better than the Blues versus Dallas. I think Dallas would curb stomp us.
Oh, okay.
It would be a quick series.
Vegas and Minnesota. Your thoughts on that?
Vegas.
Yeah, you gotta choose Vegas.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. We'll see what if Zeev Buium can ignite the Minnesota power play. Again, Goaltending, I was a bigger fan of Logan Thompson than of Aiden Hill. There's going to be, I think a groundswell of support for Minnesota because it's Flowers last year. But I think at the end of the day, I think Vegas is gonna win that in 4 or 5.
Kings and Oilers.
I think it goes 7, and I think LA is going to beat them this year. I think that's without Draisaitl, without a healthy Draisaitl, and Stuart Skinner, right, still hurt. And Kemper, like we talked about Hellebuck, but Darcy Kemper going back to LA after a bad year in Washington, he's probably going to get some Vezina votes himself. I like the goaltending matchup for, especially if Skinner is only at 80%. I like the goaltending matchup in LA's favor.
Can you imagine if the Blues upset Winnipeg and Broberg and Holloway are playing in the second round and Edmonton's out in the first round?
Oh, that would be that would be so much karma for wait, I can't even remember who was it wasn't Bowman because he wasn't in the role yet. But the guy that fired Howland or Howland left, I forget who it was, but that would be awesome.
You already said you think Ottawa's going to take Toronto, right?
I want that. That's
okay.
that's the upset that I want the most.
Okay.
I think it's going to surprise people. I think it's going to go 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Washington will take out Montreal. I think that in 5 or 6. Florida, Tampa, that is going to be an interesting series.
Yep.
I think that's got to go 7. But if not, Florida will take it in 6.
Okay. And Carolina and New Jersey.
Probably going to go 7 because there's no goaltending in that series.
So no long overtimes.
Yeah, I don't expect it to happen. Maybe Jacob Markstrom. Like if there's a goalie that could surprise anyone in that series, I think it's Jacob Markstrom.
Okay, so in the first round, everybody loves long overtimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fun to hear. Oh my God, there's a double overtime game.
Mm-hmm.
What's the longest overtime we're gonna have? First round.
Yeah. There'll be 1 3 overtime game.
I was gonna say triple. Yeah.
Right.
It's always the best, right? When you turn on a game and it's in the first overtime, and you get like 2 more overtimes.
Right.
Just a watch.
Right. And it's gonna be LA versus Edmonton when that happens. Right?
Oh my God.
So it's like ending at 5 a.m. East Coast time.
I can see maybe Tampa Bay and Florida having a long game.
Yeah.
Or
some
with some goaltending.
Because that's how it happens, right? It's always an East Coast game because you're like, oh, if you want to watch the Blues, turn into True TV.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe even Winnipeg, St. Louis. Right. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
With some any series with some goaltending.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm super stoked. Blues in the playoffs again. So we'll we got some more comments here. Let's see. Patrick Yoder. Won't mind the Jets winning. I can see it. They deserve it. And we are playing with house money at this point. Yep. I mean, I guess the team can't feel like some of the fans probably do. Is like, oh, we're just happy to be in. No, can't. Once you're a player, you got to like switch gears and say, okay, I got to win some games. But he says he does want the Blues to win. Prove the haters and Dom wrong. Yeah. Which we didn't talk about.
We did prove Dom wrong.
Dom Lucian.
Dom proved himself wrong.
Yeah, I mean he does that. He's got a problem, but he
hates us.
So it was somebody resurfaced the his NHL playoff picture. This was back in November 5th. So, and he had the Blues. He has in every conference, he has teams listed for basically in the playoffs, safe shots, likely bets, the bubble, unlikely bets, long shots to make the playoffs, and basically out. Done. No chance. He has the Blues under no chance in November. So, which, I mean, they weren't playing well in November. So, and that this is, and he also has us down there with Chicago and Anaheim and San Jose, which is like one of these does not belong, right?
Right.
And he has, let's see, Nashville is on the bubble, which they were not. He should have flip-flopped the Blues in Nashville. That's what he should have done.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. And then he had, let's see, Vancouver is safe shots. Safe shot to get in. So Boston is on the bubble. Not really. So, and Montreal basically out too. Yeah, Montreal 1% to make it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, as a Habs fan, I am shocked. I'm shocked that they did it. I thought Columbus was really going to rally around the loss of Johnny Hockey and get in, but unfortunately for them, it wasn't meant to be. But they've got some pieces that, if they don't leave, are they'll be a fringe playoff team for a couple of years.
And the first response, or the one that got the most attention to Dom's post, and this was on Twitter, X, whatever. First response was by, oh God, why do people do this? B.W. Jenkins. Listing teams in a, quote, basically out category this early is setting up for a lot of cold takes exposed later. And which, yeah, I mean,
that's what we're doing right here.
Yeah. I mean, it's and it's funny because, his model just gets the Blues wrong so often. It doesn't figure out, it can't figure out the Blues. And it's interesting because, his comments on social media are kind of, I'm not sure if he's lashing out at Blues fans because he's tired of taking crap from Blues fans, or if he just genuinely doesn't like the Blues. I don't know. But he's made some comments that pissed off Blues fans, and then his models kind of reflect almost like his personal feelings of the Blues sometimes, and how he got it wrong again. So, it is what it is. I think it's hilarious. But what else?
I just want to get to a point where every year he's just out of embarrassment, he's picking the Blues.
Man, if the unthinkable happens and the Blues go on a deep run and win the cup, knock on wood, this needs to be kind of not resuscitated, whatever, revisited.
Yeah.
Again, just to say, you know what? Why don't you stop doing models? Because your models, they're often wrong.
Right.
Often wrong. So why even do them? This and it's based on advanced stats and all this stuff. It's like, this is why you can't go by that shit. Just let things play out. This is why I don't like predictions. This is why I don't do them, because like this happens.
And for it to be the Blues to do it twice in 5-6 years against them, right? That there's statistically, is that likely that the same team fucked up your model?
Well,
that bad?
Well, and he said after the Blues made their run, he goes, that was, my model learned some things, and so I redid the model after the Blues Cup run. Well, I did it again.
Yeah.
Your model has not been is not that effective, or not. I mean, whatever. So it's easy to pick the teams that are supposed to be cup contenders. Those are easy picks.
Right.
But yeah, the teams that you pick at the very bottom that actually make the playoffs, that's when you look bad. So, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else before we wrap her up? We should get going here.
We should, because it's late, and I've had a lot of beer tonight.
All right, so that will wrap up episode 29 of season 14 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. Thank you for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For the allegations-laden Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I am Craig Price. Until next time, everyone, they don't even have an airport. Let's go Blues.
But they have a Dollar Tree. Let's go Blues.
A Mark Goodson television production.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
I found prints! No, fingerprints. I don't think so.
Kmart is more than any store you have known before. Kmart means you get quality. It's friendly.